Okay, so welcome everyone to our Women That Dream series. I have a very special guest here with us today. Nikki Murphy is here with us today. Nikki is a dear friend, and I am just so inspired by how she shows up in her life as a mom, as a wife. And I want to bring this story to you, and Nikki will share some really wonderful parts of her story. They might not seem wonderful in the moment, but what she has gained or what she has found through that is just incredible. So, this is a story of feeling fully alive by taking a journey to stay alive. Nikki is a wife, as I mentioned, and a mom of two wonderful boys. She is a leader in a Fortune 500 company, and she's also growing her incredible business that is rooted in feeling fully alive called Surrendered Freedom. Nikki, welcome. I am so excited to have you here with us.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so honored to share this. It's truly some place that I 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I can't remember. I never thought that I would. I couldn't imagine using some of this stuff for good or really where it would take me. But that's kind of the beauty of life, is that you just show up and it takes you places, as long as that we're open and we're really rooted in the good that it can give us. So I'm so thankful to be here.
And thank you. I know that it's going to be such a gift for others to hear this, and not to just it's going to be incredible for them to hear a story and root for somebody. I know there's going to be people just rooting for you, but also our hope is that parts of the story that resonate with you, maybe not, word by word from Nikki's journey, is to inspire you to look at your journey and see how this can be possibly take place in your journey as well, in your path, which is beautiful and unique and your own. So I want to open it up to Nikki, and I would love to hear and share. We're going to talk about dreams. This is going to be all about dreams. And sometimes dreams seem like this faraway place where it's, maybe not realistic, right? But really, in reality, what a dream is that we realize that things need to change. We want to see a change, right? We are welcoming change. That's a part of the dream. So, Nikki, please tell us, what was that moment when you realized that this new dream was born? Maybe not fully a dream where you were, all clear and all the details there, but you knew the change is needed to happen for your family.
Yes. So first, I think that the clarity of our dreams are ever evolving, and so I think they'll be lifelong. That's certainly maybe the last chapter of the book here is what I've come to learn, and just to kind of let it keep evolving and you show up as yourself. But for me, you know, looking back before 2015, really before that, which was when I had my double mastectomy, because 6 months prior I'd been diagnosed, which I knew was kind of coming, with BRCA2 positive, which is a gene mutation. Basically, it's just a funky kind of mishap in your genetic DNA where your body doesn't suppress cancer cells. And specifically in this part of your strand, it's breast cancer. It's your hormones. It's breast, ovarian, pancreatic, and melanoma. Those are all intertwined. And so my mom had it. My mom had died in 2011. Her sister had died in 97. My grandmother had it in 1990. And the women before that had passed away, many years of breast cancer. So it was really kind of okay, get your army bag on, you're just gonna, here's the next step in the process. And so a lot of life leading up to that was these stacking of blocks. If you can imagine, like a toddler just putting block down, and then another block, and then another block, and another block. And I feel like so much of us in our life, that's what we do. We grow up, we go to school, we get a job, we stay a while, we retire, and we die. Like it's really, that's so simple, but it's really the buckets, we kind of, these milestones we put ourselves in. So this was another one of those milestones that fit between college, or between the college and getting a job, and whatever was going to come next. And so I just it didn't miss a beat. And I say that because that's not when the dream, or this whole realm of where's this going to take me, or what's this going to do for me, or how's this going to unfold, did anything. It was the hard, um, it was the get it done. It was the, the strength to just go forward and not think twice. I didn't have kids. I would soon have kids, but I didn't have kids. I knew I wanted to do this before kids. And so it became this medical journey that started in April of 2015, when I had my double mastectomy and many surgeries after that for reconstruction, and many more to come potentially. This medical journey really became the catalyst for a way back home, to who I really am, who I was created to be, how to use this to be part of my story, because it was known before I was created, right? I had this gene, before I was born. So this was always part of my journey. I just found out about it in my early 30s. And it's been, I would say it was after 2 kids. So the medical piece of it, it really, I think for me, it stopped me in my tracks to examine, one, how miraculous our bodies are, 2, the things that we can endure, and 3, what we need to provide to it, not just physically, not just food and supplements, but like mentally and emotionally and spiritually, because they're all intertwined. And so I think for me that it like I said, it wasn't right away. It was the surgeries. It was the just not processing it, right? Sitting with it, letting it trap, like speaking of trapped emotions, just letting it all just kind of fester, having kids, having another kid back to back. So 3 years I had surgeries, a kid, and then another kid. And so, but in the middle of that, I was searching for how to do it well, not how to do it perfect. That's what I had to get rid of. I had to release so much perfectionism, because it's type A, kind of how I'm wired. Engineer, like you see it black and white, you see it straight, you see it, you see a corner. I see things like very, very straight and narrow. And so I had a lot of undoing, while at the same time of doing the right things. And so that's really what this journey has been. And, our power is in showing up and choosing to show up, and, choosing to see the good. And so that, when I look at it over 7 years, because it's been 7 years, and I sum it up, is that it's been a journey of choosing to see the good. And it has not been easy. It has been one of undoing kind of a lot of what was done, or what generationally is done, or what we think is the right thing, or what we've been told. So that's really kind of how it started. And it's been one sometimes I say I wish I would have done it sooner. But there was a purpose for doing it when I did it. But it's been an amazing past, really. I would say, really, Katie, if I had to define it, it's been probably the past 3.5 years.
Yeah. So
Really.
what have you noticed in those past 3.5 years that, looking back now, you can say, oh, okay, this is what I have gained over the last 3.5 years. And of course, like you mentioned, we're ever growing, ever evolving, and this is not a final destination right now. But what has really been of value during these 3.5 years on this journey?
I think I think the biggest thing has been of being able to hear your voice. And a lot of that comes through prayer and just really clarity, like prayer for clarity. I can see, I say that so simply, but it really is that simple. But for me, I think the things we forget with our lives, because Lord knows there's so much around us that is a box, layers, junk, just noise. And I see so many times over the last 3.5 years where I prayed for clarity, and I swear clarity showed up 5 different ways for that one thing, and again and again and again. And a lot of that clarity is, for your voice, like the clarity of, who am I? Like, what am I doing here? What am I using this for? It was showing up in my choices. It was showing up in how you felt. I felt different. I felt happy. I felt alive, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, prior to that, even going through the surgeries and having the kids, joyful things in your life, like things that people pray for, that happen hard, that don't happen at all. Um, it was kind of a flat line. Like I didn't really feel anything. Of course I was feeling, but I really wasn't processing those feelings. It wasn't like I couldn't define it. I couldn't put words to it. And so what that has done these past 3 years is it allowed me to articulate myself. I feel happy. I feel joyful. Most importantly, I feel grateful. I feel grateful for this moment. That stacking of the blocks example I gave you, I feel like we focus on what's next so much, and what's next is not here. It's good to have that as part of your dream, and make sure that that's in check, and it's not for somebody else, and it's not for some company, and it's not for some person or something that you don't feel alive with. But it is so important that those so looking ahead is good, but for me, it reminded me, and a lot of death happened in between these surgeries and the kids. Steve's parents both died. My aunt, who was like my second mom, died. My grandmother. We've had a lot of loss. And I think that intertwined with going through a medical journey to prevent yourself. This is all proactive. I haven't had cancer. This is all of protecting against a what if. So it really does something profound, and it allows you, you're kind of forced, but I hope that this talk allows folks to realize how important and how valuable the present moment is, and how intentional we can make that, just sitting and being and looking around with all the things that we have to be grateful for. And it was 2 years ago that I went through a Bob Proctor abundance meditation, a 30 days intensive. And I didn't do a good job during those 30 days, but I showed up because it was overwhelming. And it taught me about abundance. It taught me about gratitude. And it taught me about the importance of sitting down every day and doing it. And that outlook that it gave me on life amongst the community. So I got a beautiful community out of these last 3.5 years, and people come and go, things come and go. Yourself comes and goes, of really who you're kind of being, like a potter, like a clay wheel, who you're becoming. And again, it's not black and white. And I think once we remove that either or, we become a both and type of mentality and space, we allow all of the good stuff to come in, because it's there. We have it. We have a lot of it. Our community, people we surround ourselves, our home, our environment, our headspace. So that's really all. Talking about this is what I've gotten out of this. I would never have been able to articulate myself and tell you all of this good stuff. And this is all out of something that easily could have taken me down a different path of hardness, of just complete and utter darkness. And it didn't. I'm so thankful.
And as I'm listening to your beautiful story, I'm reminded of something that I read today, and I can't say word by word, but the feeling was that when we as mothers don't take care of ourselves, right, we create this culture for our kids to think that it's okay, this is what you have to do, and not, our boys as future dads, just parents, right? Love is not taking care of yourself. We make that assumption, right? Because that's what we see. So when we show no, love is taking care of yourself, like doing, things, for yourself, not being a martyr, but, you are actually getting to know yourself. We're actually helping our kids.
Amen. We are. It's profound what's happening. And again, I go back to that very, like, you want to hold it, you want to touch it, you want to taste it. It's not those things. You will see that fruit. It's just not right now. And so we have to hold on to that goodness that we are doing those things, remind ourselves, have our friends remind ourselves, follow the pages that remind ourselves, read the books, do the meditation, do the affirmations, get the oils, like all that reminds us of those things, because that's the good work we're doing. I mean, I tell Steve all the time, I'm like, we have broken so many generational things in the last 2, 3, 4 years that we want to be able to touch it and hold it. But we kind of are, because of our kids, like what they're going to be like in 5, 10, and 15 years. And it's so important. I mean, the things that I could sit and go home with right now, like I could literally die happy right now, is that I have defied so many things that took the life, figuratively and literally, of those closest to me, I've defied that. And so that my work is done. Like my work has been done today, if I was to leave today. And so that is enough to rest peacefully on. And so that's kind of how I do every day. Like, and it's hard. I mean, we talked about it before we started recording. It's very hard, and it's something we have to show up and be intentional about and be mindful about. And when we don't get it right, we start over, or we just start where we are. We don't start over. We just start where we are. And there's a lot of grace. There's enough grace to say yes, come home, and yes, start, and yes, be here right now. And man, I'm telling you, like, I'm a different person, than I was. Even having kids, like, I can't wait to do this whole journey again, because I'm a different person. I say it every day. That I that I wake up, I'm just a different person, and I hope that it shows. I mean, all it matters is it shows to me and like my family, but I hope that it
Yeah.
exudes.
Yeah.
It's really important to me.
And one thing that you mentioned that I want to echo as well, you talked about community. So you went through Abundance Challenge, you had that community. And I know that there's other communities, and I wanted to share that Nikki and I have created just recently, this has been going past few weeks, we do an ego check-in. So Nikki posted something about how ego shows up in our life. And I was like, yes, I need this constant reminder, because when it unconsciously shows up and I just go through it, there's no lesson, there's nothing, no growth happening with it. But instead of being like, I'm not judging the ego showing up, but I'm recognizing. So when we do these check-ins, this is the work that we're doing, helping each other, just to like, hey, how did ego show up? And you have to stop and think like, wait, yes, I remember ego showing up in this way. Oh, wow. But I was aware of it. I didn't let that take me down and stop me from moving forward. So it's constant work. You mentioned the perfection. There's no perfect. There's no way to be perfect. I'm working through that too. Like, I'm trying to hold on. So I want to talk about that too, about our dreams. They cannot be perfect. They will not be perfect. We will not perfectly reach the dreams. It's just not possible. So let's just let go of that right now, so we're not setting ourselves up for something that's just unreasonable. But what I do want to talk, and I want to get your how you feel about this, is how do you continue to stay on course when you're working towards a dream? What is some things? And I know you've mentioned some, so maybe we could just go back and revisit those.
Yeah, so I think it's I think for me, so the community is a huge piece. You got to have, like, you are truly the sum of your small network of people. And I'm not talking necessarily about family. I think that matters, but that's a different perspective. This is your social community. And so for me, it's been really fine tuning that. And let me tell you something, it happens without you really doing much. When your vibration and your alignment and your energy, that is so important. I think that is what we really have to focus on. It's why Surrendered Freedom was created. It's the work. It's been part of the past 3.5 years to me, is doing a ton of emotional, it's therapy. It's therapy. Let's call it that. It's the good work of therapy. But it's a type of energy healing and emotional healing that we've done, and we're constantly going to be doing it. But that is so important to stay the course, right? Of your ever evolving dreams, because life is shifting around us. A lot of it's out of our control. It's where that perfectionism will never fit in. It doesn't have a home in life. It's not who we are. It's not the life around us. It's not the world. We're actually, we're actually in a very broken world. We're in a very broken environment. And so it's natural to want to try to fix it, because if you're a doer, that's what you want to do. And so for me, it is really doing the work to feel your best. A lot of that looks like health, whether you're an exerciser or you're like supplements. Like for me, I had to do this because it was actually undoing the work that I was doing medically. I had to remove the toxins out of my life. Everything, like environmental, body, home, all of it. And it was not overnight. In fact, I had the resources of Young Living for so long. It took me 2.5 years to really fully use it and to start that process. So you can have something good, But until you're ready, until you're ready to make those decisions and you do that, it doesn't happen, doesn't unfold. But I had to physically remove that stuff out of my life. So there's the healthy aspect, but at the same time of doing that, your mental clarity, there's this fog that comes out of all this, the junk that we have, that we put in our body, we put on our body, that we have in our environment. And this is just one aspect of it, but there's so much of that that keeps us at this vibrational energy that is not where we were created. And so I think that as I evolve to remove that, and it, again, it's a journey I cannot explain to you. It is a journey today. It's not just a journey I got it and I'm good. It's a journey today. You begin to see what you're called for, what your purpose is. That becomes clearer, and it's ever evolving as well. So I don't want to put this persona out there that you just reach this pinnacle and you're there and you got it and you're good. No, it's this is the work. So finding what makes you feel good, what makes you feel aligned, the people, the places, the things, the what you pour into your work, your job. If it's not, get out of it. If it's not a heck yes, it's probably a heck no, right? So it's really, really finding that. And I had to learn a lot of this energy practice. What does a high vibration feel like? Okay, I can use my oils and I can tell you how I feel after that. That was a start. That was foundational. And then removing some of the emotional barriers, having people like you and so many other beautiful women in my life that do that naturally, or do that through conversation, or do that through our check-ins, or do that through whatever things we think of in the moment. That was ways to raise my vibrational frequency. And when you feel that and you know what that feels like, gratitude journaling, you now have this pinnacle, this kind of heightened marker where you don't want to be down here. We're going to get down here, but you need to find a way back. And so that for me is the biggest thing, because when you're here at your highest form, your dreams are going to be so clear. And your dreams aren't these things that are unattainable. They're things that you were created for me, I believe, at your creation. And you're finding them. You're removing all that junk and that layers and whatever dark spot you've been in, or whatever just mediocre spot you've been in. You're removing that stuff. And that's what this journey has been. And it's been just really fantastic. I mean, I have a whole list of here of how to stay the course, but that to me is like, it's so foundational. And I love talking about this. I know you do. So we can do a whole spin-off of vibrational work, but it's foundational. It has to be core when you're really wanting to find your purpose and define some dreams.
There's so many great things you said. One thing that stands out from earlier in our conversation, you said prayer for clarity. And I encourage you, as you're listening to Nikki share things, if something just resonating, you're like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, that's so incredible. Write it down and start practicing it. The more you're going to start practicing this, the more you're going to see changes in yourself. You're going to be coming closer to yourself. You're going to be hearing your voice, as Nikki said. You're going to hear your voice. You're going to have clarity. If you're noticing that you can't make a decision, right? That's one of the ways you're not hearing your voice. Because when you are practicing this and you're really aligned with your highest self, your answers are going to be very clear. You're never going to not be able to make a major decision or a minor decision.
Yeah.
This is going to be something. I also love Nikki's message. I want to echo it over and over and over again, that it's not black and white. It's not a box. There's just so much outside of it. Sometimes our mind, that's just the way it's created. It does need to see black and white. That's how it gets things, that's how it understands. This is the work that we do. And when we realize, in creation, there's chaos. There is no black and white. And this is what we're creating. We're creating the new generations. And this is so exciting. And it's not something we can see right now, the black and white. but it's coming. So the more we start operating in that, and I loved when Nikki said that the community and how easy it is through your vibration. So when you're feeling your true self, and people in our life do mirror, this is all created for us. So if you're seeing things, you're like, oh, I don't know that I have this group that I feel so, aligned with. That means this is your opportunity for growth. You
Yep.
grow, your group grows. It's really super simple, but I hope from this, you take away that there is nothing you can't do. Like, whatever your circumstances are, whatever, wherever you've been, wherever you're going, these simple steps of coming back to yourself. I think that was such a beautiful message, Nikki. Thank you for sharing that. Just hearing your voice. And also, I'm going to add to that, questioning when there is another voice that doesn't feel aligned. What is that? Is that ego? Is that, I like to say Satan, not today, Satan. Sometimes when you become aware of it, right? You're like, nope, I see this. This is not working for me. Like, what is this? Why is this inside of me? And just making that awareness, so those are really, really great. So Nikki, before we say goodbye, you shared so much inspiration, so much. What are your hopes, like, as people hear this, right? If they can take away one nugget, what would it be?
I think for me, like I said this earlier, but if you find yourself in a place where it has to be one way or the other, an either or situation, or you're striving for something that is just not attainable, whether it be an expectation or a feeling, or it all revolves around perfectionism. And I'll give you an example. I have evolved from the mastectomy journey to what's next is ovarian. So I have this totally 360 feeling about what's next, right? I just always thought, we'll have another kid or two and I'll have my ovaries out, a full hysterectomy. I'll go and I'll do the hormone treatment naturally or as best I can. Like, this is just, again, there's the stacking of the blocks. I'll do this and then I'll do this and I'll do this. And I have completely changed that. And so I think the best piece of advice that I can give is that perfect doesn't exist. You are in control of what your next step is, and get super, like, remove all the junk that is causing you to think that it is attainable. Okay. Because it's out there. It's a person, it's a job, it's the next assignment at work, it's somebody, it's something in your surroundings. Get rid of the things that are telling you that it has to be perfect and it has to be one way or the other, because as soon as you do and you sit in this, and you not only sit, but you start to flourish in this both, this and this kind of the very long table with like there is no option that isn't out there for you. That is what you have to find. And so I think it can be a little daunting, but I think you have to really sit down and you have to sit still, which we don't do a lot, but you have to be unafraid to sit still, and you have to be unafraid to let go of whatever attainment you're going for that has an unattainable goal, which could be getting it right. We're going to get it wrong a lot, and actually wrong might be right. You just never know. But for me, is it's just, if you can get rid of what you think it should be and find out why you're thinking that. So find out that it involves sitting still. And so I think that that's so important, because you can start now. If you've got a lot of stuff going on, shut it down, close the door, whatever you do to just get grounded. Go get grounded for 5 minutes, take a pen, write down what comes to your mind, and I'll tell you, it'll start to change your life. It's just really that simple, and you build on it every day. And so that would be what I offer folks, is that get rid of this. It has to be one way or the other. It has to be the way somebody else has told you, because it's only about how you feel, and build upon that. Because like I said, I sit here 6 months ago, my perspective has totally changed on my health journey. And I'm looking for holistic oncologists. I'm looking for people that are willing to take the risk for 5 more years to not do any surgeries, because I'm chasing something that hasn't happened. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do something to my body that I don't need to do prematurely. And that has changed. It was always, I'm going to have a hysterectomy at 42. And so I'm so thankful that I can hear that. And that sounds right to me. And the hard part is questioning the doctors. The hard part is questioning those that are around me that see it only black and white. And so that's the next step that you're going to probably come into, is that get the community around you that doesn't see it as one way or the other. Get the community around you that is willing to listen and hear you and cheer you and root for you and love you, and you grow with it and they grow with you. So that's my nugget.
I love it. I love it. So if you'd like to connect with Nikki, Surrendered Freedom, and we'll leave all the information in the notes, is a great way for you to do that. And I thank you all for coming. I thank Nikki so much. Nikki, I'm just so always in awe of your story, of your courage, of your faith, of your determination to continue to grow. You said throughout today, like you're like 3.5 years ago, 6 months ago, like this is ever evolving, and I love it. And I love the courage and vulnerability and authenticity and honesty. It's like yes, that's what it is. Like that's what it is. And I love, but you know what it gives? It gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to come in and be like, I can be the change. I can do this because there is no perfectionism stopping me now, right? Like we hopefully have broken parts of it down. And you know what? Don't expect it if you are coming into this and this is the first time you're questioning perfectionism, that tomorrow it's going to be gone. The idea is that we cracked it just a little, hopefully, just enough for the cracks to continue to grow and to release the grip on you. And that just shatters at one point, and not completely, but thank you so much for cracking that, Nikki. I love that. I know that this, your words, the way you show up and the way you just poured right now into truth and abundance is going to bless people. So thank you so much for being here. And I thank everyone for listening. And I welcome you to reach out. Reach out. If something resonated, reach out and say, you don't have to say anything elaborate. Just say, this resonated, because we're putting this out in a word. It's an energy that we're putting out, and it's going to be great for you to put that out, and it's going to bless somebody else. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of it.
It was beautiful. I appreciate it. And I'm so honored just to be able to share this. And anybody that wants to connect, as Katie knows, I'm an open book. So I love it. And I love you. And thank you. This is really special. So thank you so much.